Hey, it's Nick from Nick's Handmade Crochet, coming to you from my messy craft room. Today I have a little crochet tutorial. It's a little pocket pouch with a 3D flower on the front of it. So hopefully it's not too complicated, something that you might enjoy trying. So let's head over and get started. See you soon. Bye. Okay, so I am just going to try a few different yarns with different hook sizes to see the result in the sizes of the finished product. Now, I had been using some scrap yarn from a company called Hobby from Denmark in Copenhagen, which won't supply to Australia anymore. So I had used up some of the cotton, but this is a cotton from Saucer Fibre called Clear as Cotton. It's supposed to be an 8-ply or DK equivalent. So let's just see how it goes. So I'm going to use a 4mm hook and this yarn. So I'm going to start with a magic ring. So that's just like making a slip knot, but instead of pulling that tight, I'm just going to bring that yarn, the working yarn, up and secure that with a little slip knot. Now I'm going to do 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can see in the magic ring it's all a bit all over the place, but that's okay. And when you're just doing a small magic ring, you can pull as you go. I've just made my 8 single crochet and now I'm just going to pull that tight and adjust that. Now, if you're a beginner, possibly using a stitch marker, but because there's not a lot of stitches to count for this project, I'm not going to use one. So I'm just going to bring my center tail and work over that and slip stitch into there. So these stitches are pretty easy to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm just going to chain one to secure that first stitch, but we're going to do it's not a puff stitch and it's not a cluster stitch. I'm going to do 5 double crochet into this first stitch. One, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And this is how versatile crochet is. I mean, I'm not a knitter, so I can't say that this is better. So the humble double crochet, which is a US terminology, or a triple crochet if you're using UK terminology. So the humble double crochet can turn into lots of things. So I didn't chain up, I just started, because I'd done that chain 1, then I started with the double crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm taking my hook out 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to go back. Remember, the first stitch of your round's always going to be slightly on the side. So what I'm going to do is put my hook into that the top of the first double crochet, and I'm going to grab that stitch and I'm going to pull that through here, and that will make it like a little bobble. I don't think it's called a bobble stitch. Once I know, once I clarify the terminology, I'll let you know. And then I'm going to just chain one to secure that in place. and then into the next single crochet on that first round we did, I'm going to do another one of those little 5 double crochets into that spot. I'm going to pull up that yarn so we don't lose it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And go back to that first double crochet that we did, the top of that. And I'll pull that through and secure that with 1 chain. And I'm going to repeat this around. So at the end we should have 8 because I did 8 single crochets. You can do this with 12. Anything that's sort of divisible by 4, because we're going to turn this into a square after we get this first round done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and grab that. So I'm just securing the back with my finger and holding the front with my thumb. And securing that with a chain. So there's lots of different versions on YouTube of this sort of pattern, whether you do 1 chain or 2 chains after you secure that. But for the purposes of this little video, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're worried about losing that, you could use a stitch marker just to hold that in place as you go. And you don't have to work fast at crochet, you can just take your time securing that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And secure that. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and back to the beginning one, grab my hook and pull that through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 2 more loops there. Pulling that up, counting back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see that that's the top of that first stitch we did, and under both loops, and grab that. Should have said at the beginning, shouldn't I? Under both loops, secure, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have 1 more chain left here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to secure that round by just going under that extra chain, that securing chain that we did there. So find that, it's just hidden. and I'm just going to pull that through, and I'm going to maybe just do an extra knot, extra chain. And I did bring my scissors in. Where did I put them? So much space here, so I'll be back in a sec when I find my scissors. I'm so sorry. Okay, found my scissors. Let me cut that off. And then we're just going to pull that through. And then we'll sew that in after. I really am a big believer in sewing in all my ends, even though a lot of people will work over the tails, but I'm always just a bit dubious that eventually that might come undone, so I will sew them in later, but I'm just going to leave that. Now, how cute is that? If you just wanted to make a little embellishment and you wanted to make a flower, you could just leave it like that and sew that onto something. If you're any good with a bit of a needle and a thread, you can put that on, I don't know, sew that onto your jeans. It'll be cute. Sew it onto a finished crochet project like a bag or something else where you want to put on an extra embellishment if you like. If that was the case, I usually have quite a long yarn tail to all my projects because it just gives me flexibility to make sure I've got enough to weave in. But the other thing too is if you make it even extra longer, then you could use that to sew that to a project. So how cute is that? So we've got all these little petals and they give a 3D effect. All right, so I'm going to change to another colour. And I don't know if this one has my eyesight's really bad at the moment. It's colour number 27, but I'm sure on the website it has a name. She has lots of names for all her colours. So this time, sorry, when I find the end. So this time we're going to go in between those petals. So when I'm attaching a new yarn, and you don't have to do this because it does leave a bit of a knot, but again, I just like to do things for extra security. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch, add that on there. And in between these petals where we did that chain one to secure it, sort of gives us a little bit of a space. I know that's a little bit hard to see, but you can see this space here. So I'm going to put my hook in. I'm going to pull it through and I'm just going to slip stitch onto there. So it's joined. There's already a knot there, but I'm also securing it as well. So I'm going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and this time that will count as my first stitch. So what we're going to do is create a square, and I'm going to make a corner first. Now, you know, there's so many different ways of doing this, doing a corner, not doing the corner first, but this is the way I am going to do it today. This is how what I'm feeling. So I'm going to do another 2 double crochets. So that will act as my first part of the corner. So the chain 3, which counts as a stitch, 2 double crochets. Now I'm going to go 1, 2, and most crochet patterns with corners will have 2 chain in that spot. That just helps define where the corner is going to be, change direction. Then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So that will be a corner. So in that next space between those petals, pull it apart, you can see it here, I am going to do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. So this idea is very similar to, I've done a video before just on a granny square. So we've just changed how we start in the center, but essentially this is going to be like a granny square now. So now I'm going to go to the next space and I'm going to make a corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, which will be our directional change. 1, 2, 3. So there's a corner, a chain 3 cluster or 3 double crochets in the 1 stitch, and then our corner. So we're going to find the next little space. Now, so you just need to pull that apart, just separate those, the 2 little petals there. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to come and do another corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 1, 2, 3. So you can see how that is making a little square underneath that petal now. So cute. Right, in between the 2 petals there, in that space. 1, 2, 3. Now, if these tail ends are bothering you, you can sew them in after each round. I just sort of work around them now, so you know, I have different days where I will sew things in as I go, and other times I'll just leave it as a big hot mess until I finish the project. So as long as it doesn't frustrate you too much, you can leave them. Oops, getting caught, which happens, especially when you get closer to that end. Now I guess that's why some people will do, when they're doing that connecting extra chain here, they'll do 2 just to give you a bit of a broader space to work into. So if that's going to make it easier for you, then you can do that. So my yarn's getting caught up on things here. Just got to sort myself out. All right. So that's another corner, and we should have 1 space left in between this last petal. And here we go. I'll do 1. Oops, getting caught on this one. 2. 3. All right, so the first chain 3 that we did, 1, 2, 3, and I guess this yarn's a bit finer, so it's harder to see those first 2, but you can count backwards, 1, 2, and then you can see here. Now remember that when you're doing a chain up in the beginning of your round, that stitch, whatever you're doing, is always going to be slightly to the side. So you've got to sort of come under the first part and then find that second part. Oh, and sometimes if you pull that second part up first, identify it, there's my first. It's under both loops, there we go. Pull that through and pull through. All right, how cute is that? That is really cute. All right, so you could leave it as that, but I'm going to do one more round. So we're going to crochet 1 double crochet into each stitch, and then we'll get to the corner and do 2 double crochets, oh sorry, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, because that's been our pattern of clusters. Now there's a couple of ways to do this, and you can start with your first double crochet here and work around and join to the end, but if you're doing a bigger project, that will give you a seam where you're joining. Another way, so we could go 1, 2, 3, start our round and then finish that cluster with 2 stitches, but you'll still have a join. So what I do is I slip stitch over to the corner and start my corner there. So we've slip stitched to join here into that top of the first one. Now doing this method, you just need to do quite loose slip stitches. So what I do is I slip stitch under those 2 stitches there, the top of that double crochet, which is the middle one of that 3. Pull that through. I will slip stitch again here and pull that through. Now I'll do them loose because when I come back around I'll need to do crochets into those slip stitches, and that's, if you do them too tight, it's really hard to do, but I like this method, so that's why I'm doing that. And I'll slip stitch into the space. So it's brought me around to the space, and I just find that you don't end up with more of an obvious seam as up the middle of a project. So I'll start 1, 2, 3. So then we're going to do 2 double crochets for a total of what would be 3, the cluster. Chain 2, 1, 2, 3. Now we're just going to jump over to this space here. Now I haven't done chain 1s between, again because I wanted it as a closer pattern. So you'll just have to pull this apart in between each cluster, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to go in between, so I don't even have to go into a stitch, just going into the space between. 1, 2, 3, and again there was 1, 2, 3 there, so it will be a little bit of counting because those spaces are not as obvious with this yarn. Maybe my hook's a bit big, but it's supposed to be an 8-ply, but I find it feels much finer than what an 8-ply would normally feel like. 1, so we've come to the corner and we will do 3, chain 2, our directional change, and the space. 1, 2, 3. So we've made another corner. All right, so I just blink some yarn. So there's our corner from the previous row, and then we did 3 double crochets into that space between the petals. So now we're going to be in line with that petal in that space. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then there's a corner. So basically, like a granny square, what we're doing is we're increasing the round. Instead of having one cluster, we did corner, cluster, corner, cluster. Now we have corner, cluster, cluster, corner. 1, so we're in the corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, change our direction and make the corner space. 1, 2, 3, and we should have 2 spaces now to make 2 more cluster groups, a group of 3 double crochet. To the next space. 1, 2, 3. There's our corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 1, 2, 3. All right, let's do that again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and here's our first cluster, and remember we did 1, 2, 3. So again, it's on the side. So I'll pull the back one up just so I can see it a little bit. Come under and pull through. Now, I know I've said this before in other videos. If you can't go under those stitches to link that up, one, two, three, and you see that it's on the side, you can sort of just go in just behind that front loop and pull that, and it's still okay. It just alters the shape of the next one. It pulls it a bit, so that can be a bit harder to see, and it can be missed when you're crocheting around. The other thing is, if you are finishing your work, you can do an invisible join, and there's lots of tutorials on that. I might do it on the next round, but we'll see. So you can finish off here. Gosh, see, even I have trouble. Where are you? There you are. It's like trying to thread a needle. You get frustrated. Anyway, so I've pulled that through. pull up a bit of length, pull that through to join. So how cute is that? Again, you can finish that and then you could join a few together and make whatever you like. You just make lots of those, put them together, and you could make yourself a blanket. And you can make this part of the keep going around, because basically you do clusters in each space until you get to the corner and do your corner. So you just go round and round and round. So it's effective in terms of having your little 3D flower here to start, and then you have a square. So that's really cute. So I was using up some yarn to make these little pouches, and I'll bring one here. So this one, because this is supposed to be 8-ply DK cotton as well, but you can just see, look at the difference in size. And I did the center flower, I did one round to make it into a square, and then I did one round of single crochets. So, you know, not all yarns are the same. Yeah, this, I feel like this would be like equivalent to a 10-ply, a worsted weight yarn, but it doesn't say that on the pack. Anyway, so these are really cute, and I'll do one more round and I'll show you how I did this. I just did single crochet, and I've just added a little loop on this side, and then on the second square I made, I just made a longer loop with just chain stitches, and that way you have a little pouch and you can put them to a bag. You put your ear pods in them, or I don't know, a little chapstick or lip gloss or anything you want, or just have it as an accessory. It's so cute. So yeah, you would just loop that through and around what you, oh, that didn't work. Loop that around what you were wanting to attach it to add it. So that's cute. So let's just continue with this one, and again, you could probably even do another full round to make it a little bit bigger. And I've also made some water bottle, let me say that again, water bottle bags with the same sort of thing, but I did 12 stitches to start in the middle, and I did double crochets instead of single. So I made 4 of those, and I actually crocheted those together because the least sewing involved is better. So yeah, how cute are all these little ideas just from having a little 3D effect flower and then doing basically your granny square around. All right, sorry, I digress as usual, and I try not to, and then I just jibber jabber. All right, so I am going to slip stitch to my corner again, because I just like having things in the corner. I don't know, it's just how I am. Now I am just going to do chain 1, and in each corner space I'm not going to have a designation of a corner anymore because I'm finishing off this project. So I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 into that corner space. So it does still give us the turning space by having 1 crochet stitch either side and a center one, so it still does give you that rounded corner. So it's a directional change. Now what I'm going to do is a single crochet into every stitch along. Now when you crochet into the corner like this and you are then going to start crocheting to stitches, it looks like we know that we've done 3 double crochet there, and but we can only see 2 stitches, 1, 2 above that. So you need to pull this aside a little bit, because this is what's called like a little hidden stitch, and your count will be off if you miss this one. So I've just had to pull that aside, and I'm going to go into here and do my first single crochet. Then I'm going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch along. So the 3 in the corner, then 1, 2, 3, and we should be able to count that easily because they're in batches of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 3. So if you're having trouble, try and follow the post of your double crochet up to find that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and if you're having trouble, turn it up also to look at your V's, because that's always the top of a stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're going to put 3 single crochets into that chain 2 corner space. 1, 2, 3, and you can see that that last single crochet sort of obscures the top of that stitch there. I'll just pull that aside so we can see it, so we know that we've got, there's the post, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sorry, that row I omitted the first 3. I didn't count those out loud. So this again is an optional round to do. It's a good way of just tidying your edges up. It just gives a nice little finish. If you didn't want to have these little 3 here and you wanted to utilize the space for another reason, for identification purposes for your own self, then you can just leave it as is. But I like tidying these edges off. So in the corner space, 1, 2, 3, and it also helps you practice with your tension for doing single, lots of single crochets as well, because that's always an issue when you first start crocheting. So pull that aside so we can see that first. It doesn't even really look like a V, it's so squashed into the corner there, but there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 1, 2, 3. So you're the middle of the 3 axes, your pivot for your turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I guess I should have advised again to put a stitch marker in your first single crochet of the round, which is here, because the level isn't as obvious as a double crochet, the change in the rounds, it's harder to see, but I can see that. 3, 6, 9, 12 plus the ends, 13, 14. I'm just going to come back 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So on the 7th stitch, I am going to, so you can continue on and just finish off here, but I'm just going to make one of these little pocket bags, pouches, whatever you want to call them. And I'm going to do, let's see, maybe about 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if 6 might work. It might be big enough. Yeah, 6 might work. Just to put the other end through because it's thin. So I've done 6 chain, and I'm going to go back into the same chain that I started my, I'm going back into the same stitch where I started that chain, so in that 7th stitch, and I'm going to do a single crochet here to tighten it off. So there we have a little space, a little handle, and then I'm going to go 1, I'm going to single crochet to the end, 2, 3. Now this is where I did those slip stitches, so it's going to be tight. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then that is the beginning 1 stitch, and again it's so small, I'm sorry, I probably should have used a bigger yarn, which I might have to do now because realizing that it's probably making it very difficult for you to see. So then you can finish off with a slip stitch there and just pull that through, and there will be the first part of a little pouch. As you can see, comparison, sorry, this is another one, just grab this. I've made a couple with these scrap yarn. So yeah, look at the size difference, but that's the same principle. There's a little space so that you can thread this bigger one through. And then you can hang that pouch. So let's just cut the yarn here, pull this through, and I'll weave those ends in. So I'm going to make another one exactly the same, and when I get to here, so make 2 of these until you get to this 7th stitch, and instead of doing 6 chains, we do I think with this one I did about 40 chains. So that's it, you're making 2, one has a loop to thread through, the other one has a longer loop, and then we just you can sew or crochet those together. So I'll be back when I've done that.